The next question was asked in 2018. So let's see the question. So the question says that with reference to the Parliament of India, which of the following parliamentary committees scrutinize and report to the House whether the power to make regulations, rules, sub-rules, bylaws, etc. conferred by the constitutions or delegated by parliament are being properly exercised by executive within the scope of such delegations, right? So basically it is trying to ask about a questions about a parliamentary committee, and we know that there are two types of parliamentary committee. One is standing parliamentary committee and one is ad hoc parliamentary committee, right? So standing committee is an permanent committee, this is a permanent committee, and this is ad hoc is a temporary committee, right? Two types of parliamentary committee. Now this says that which of the parliamentary committee scrutinies and report to the house, right? It means that always been a rule, so there always been a matter, so that matter has to be scrutinized and report to the house whether the power to make regulations, rules, sub rules, bylaws conferred by the constitutions is being properly exercised or not. Clear? So let's see the given parliamentary committee. So it is a committee based on government assurance? No, this is not a committee, a government assurance committee which has been talked in question. Why? Because the government assurance committee is about the committee to scrutiny the decisions, scrutiny the responsibilities of a government, whether they have fulfilled their promise or not. So it is about a fulfilling of a committee. So this cannot be our answer, right? So committee on subordinate legislations, yes, this is a committee. So answer B is, option B is our answer. So to answer this questions, this is also again a factual questions. This is against a factual questions, fact based questions. So we need to have a deep knowledge about the committees of a parliamentary committee, then only we can answer these questions, right? Now when it talks about a rule committee, so basically the rule committee is a committee to form a rule. This is to formations of a rule. This is not why this cannot be answered, why the rules committee, as through the appearance from the questions may appear the at a first instance that maybe it may be a rule committee, because rule committee is there only to formulate a rule, recommending the rules and regulations, right? Whereas the question, the statement says that the committee is to scrutinize the report, scrutinize and report to the house that rule already been there, right? And the executive is properly exercising that rule or not. So it is on a subordinate legislations. Clear? Business advisory committee is also is a committee to the house which has been chaired by the presiding officer. This has been chaired by presiding officer of the house. Now job of this business advisory committee is to decide the time and day on which the members can speak or members can introduce the any bill. Clear? Okay. So this is the answer to this question is committee on subordinate legislations. Let's see all these four given committee. So the first is Committee on Government Assurance, is a parliamentary committee responsible for reviewing and ensuring the fulfillment of promises, commitments and assurance given by the ministers on the floor of the House during parliamentary proceeding. Its primary role is to monitor the status and progress of these assurance, ensuring their timely and effective implementations. This helps maintain accountability and transparency in the government. So, objective of the Government Assurance Committee is to maintain the transparency and accountability of the government. The next is Committee on Subordinate Legislations, It is a parliamentary committee tasked with examine the rules, regulations, and other legal provisions made by the executive under power granted by legislations. The committee ensures that such subordinate legislation is in accordance with the parent law, is not inconsistent with the principles of the act, and does not exceed the authority conferred by the legislations. It helps maintain the balance of power between legislature and the executive, ensuring that the executive does not misuse its delegated legislative power. So the given statement is correctly defined the Committee on Subordinate Legislations. Now if you see what is a rule committee, so rule committee is a parliamentary committee responsible for formulating and recommending rules of procedure for the functioning of legislative body. This includes rule governing the conduct of business, the process of debate, voting procedure and behavior of the members. The committee ensures that legislative process runs smoothly, effectively and according to established norms. Making necessary amendments to the rules are needed to adapt to evolving needs. It plays a key role in maintaining order and disciplines within the legislative procedure. And this rule committee is also been presided over by, this is also chaired by by presiding officer of the house, that is a speaker to the Lok Sabha and speaker to Lok Sabha and chairman of Rajya Sabha. Clear? So this is the rule committee. Now if you see the business advisory committee, so business advisory committee is a parliamentary committee responsible for planning and managing the legislative agenda. It helps determine the schedule for discussion of business bills, resolutions and other parliamentary matters, ensuring that businesses is conducted efficiently. The committee consult with various stakeholders including the government and the oppositions to prioritize and allocate time for different legislative business. Its goal is to avoid disruptions and ensure that important issues are given due attention in a parliamentary proceeding. So this is, we can say that this is one of the important committee which decides what matters will fall under in which sequence and who will get what number of times for their speech, or if the members want to speak in the house, whether from the government or from the opposition. So basically this is a committee which is deciding the time and durations and in a sequence, in which sequence the members can speak in the house. Clear? So this is a question related to parliamentary committee. Now if we move to the next question, so this question was asked in 2018. It is based on three statements. So let's see the see the questions. So consider the following statement. Let's see the first statement. In the first Lok Sabha, the single largest party in opposition was Swatantrata Party, right? So it talks about the largest single party. Now this type of question is basically, it is raw a fact question. So this we need to have an idea, then only we can apply some logic. But if we have little bit idea also, so you can understand through this that in the very first Lok Sabha that has started from 1951-52, there is no opposition in the house. There is no opposition in India. Clear? And this Swatantra Party was started in 1959 by C. Rajagopalachari. And though the first Lok Sabha was started in 1951-52, so there is no such oppositions in India. So on the basis of this, we can say that the first statement is incorrect. So we can eliminate the A and D as our answer. So we are left with the 2 and 3, that is B and C. And in these two, B and C, 2 is common. It means the statement 2 is correct. If you have no idea about whatsoever, then also we can say that this is a correct statement. Let's see that in the Lok Sabha, a leader of opposition was recognized for the first time in 19 1969, and this is true. Clear? Now, the third is the third statement is an explanations that on what basis the leader of opposition can be recognized. So it says that in the Lok Sabha, if a party does not have a minimum of 75 members, its leaders cannot be recognized as a leader of oppositions. Right? Does it true? No, it is incorrect. Why? Because the provisions, though the constitution has nothing said about, there is no provisions under Constitution of India, under Constitution of India with respect to leader of opposition. But according to rules and of the parliament, it says that if any party, that is a party having a at least a 10% of total number of seats, 10% of total number of seats of Lok Sabha, then this party can be recognized as opposition party, and its leader will be known as a leader of oppositions. So 10% of the total number of seats means the it has a total of 552 number of allocation seats. So 10% of this will be 55 members. So if any party which is having a 55 minimum of 55 members, then its leader will be known as a leader of oppositions in the house. But it says that number 75, which is incorrect. It is more than the 10%. So third is also incorrect statement. So we can say that C is not the answer. So answer to this question is B, that is only 2. The leader of opposition was recognized for the first time in 1969, and there is no such provisions related to leader of oppositions under the Constitution of India, which means the Constitution does not talk about the how or which can become a leader of oppositions. Clear? Let's see the explanations to these questions. So it says that in the first Lok Sabha, that is 1952-1957, the largest opposition party was not Swatantra Party, it was the Indian National Congress, which was the ruling party, and the opposition was primarily led by smaller parties and independents. Clear? So we can say that there is no such oppositions has been recognized during this party. There was no oppositions. So Indian National Congress was a sole party, right? The Swatantrata Party was formed later in 1959 by C. Rajagopalachari and did not have a significant presence in the Lok Sabha. So because on this, the first is incorrect. So let's see the next. The office of leader of opposition in Lok Sabha was officially recognized in 1969. Prior to this, there was no formal recognition of an official opposition leader, although there were leader of opposition parties. So on the basis of this, the second is true. Now if you see for the third statement, explanations for third statement. So as per the leader of opposition guidelines, a party must have at least 10% of the total seats in the Lok Sabha, that is 55 members, if the total strength of the Lok Sabha is 545, and we have seen that recognized number of seats is 552, right? To be officially recognized as the opposition party. If the party does not meet this criteria, its leader cannot be formally recognized as a leader of oppositions. And this can also be seen through the recent example that in the last Lok Sabha, there was no proper leader of oppositions, because no party has a minimum of 10% of seats in the Lok Sabha, and because of this, there is no such a recognized opposition in the Lok Sabha. Clear? Okay, let's move to the next question. Next question was asked in 2017. Right, so let's see the questions. Consider the following statement. In the election for Lok Sabha or State Assembly, the winning candidate must get at least 50% of vote polled to be declared elected. So this 50% of vote poll talks about an absolute majority. In India, the absolute majority is none of the place has been used. It is used only for the majority formations of government. Clear? So absolute majority in India, if we see that, if the constitution talks about an absolute majority, there is no such absolute majority process has been used in India. Only it is used to formations of a government in Lok Sabha or in the state legislative assembly. Clear? So this is incorrect on the basis of this. So a winner, to be declared elected, a member does not need an absolute majority, right? To understand this, we should know that India follows a two types of election systems. One is proportional representative with single transferable vote, and one is first past the post system. This, the proportional representative with single transferable vote, is used for election of president, vice president, and members to Rajya Sabha, whereas first past poll system has been used for the election of member of Lok Sabha, member of state legislative assembly, and member of local self government, that is panchayat or municipality, we can say that. So these three has been used, are this also known as a direct elections. So first past poll system, post system has been used for direct elections, whereas proportional representative has been used for the indirect elections. As we know that the vice president, president, and members of Rajya Sabha were indirectly elected, whereas the members of Lok Sabha, state legislative assembly, or local self government are directly elected through the system of first past the post systems. Now, to understand the first past the post system, what does it mean? So we need to understand through an example. Let's suppose, as all we know, that we have been aware and we have also played in schools, and also this 100-meter race, right? So under 100-meter race, who is a winner? So the first persons, the persons who cross the finish line in the first place. So the person who crosses the finish line of 100-meter for the first place will be declared as a winner. Similarly, any candidate out of the nominated or this contesting elections, the candidate who secure a maximum number of vote will be declared elected. Vote polled will be declared elected, right? For example, if we take as an example to understand this, let's take one example. Let's suppose there are four candidates A, B, C, and D, and there are 100 uh, voters to vote. Now, suppose that A got, out of 100 poll vote, he got 30, B got 25, C got 40, and D got 5. Clear? So total is 100. So none of the candidate got an 50% of the vote, which the statement says that to get an, according to statement, a person will be declared elected if he got at least a 50%. So none of the contestant get a 50% vote. So according to statement, this cannot be the answer, but the statement is incorrect, and India follows the first past the post systems, which means the person who got a maximum of the vote. So C got a maximum of vote, that is 40. So C will be declared as an elected member. Clear? It's just that this is the system of first past the post systems. So according to this, the first is incorrect. So we can say that A is incorrect and A and C is eliminated. Clear? Now if we see the second statement, so according to the provisions laid down in the Constitution of India, in Lok Sabha, the speaker's post goes to the majority party and the deputy speaker to the opposition's party. So this is also incorrect. Why? Because the constitution does not talk about that the post of speaker or the post of deputy speaker given to or allocated to ruling party or the opposition party. The constitutions only says that the speaker and deputy speaker elected elected amongst the member of Lok Sabha. This is what the constitution has used the language, that the speaker or deputy speaker shall be elected amongst the member of the Lok Sabha. Whether the both can be given to the gone to the ruling party or both can be gone to the oppositions. The constitution has nothing to, or constitution has not restricted this. It only says that the both office should be elected amongst the member by the member of the Lok Sabha, right? So this is incorrect according to constitutions. So because of this line was added in the questions statement makes it incorrect. If suppose that if this is not the given in the statement that according to provision laid down in the constitutions, and other than this only the statement says that in Lok Sabha the speaker post goes to majority party and deputy speaker goes to oppositions, yes, it would be correct. Why? Because of conventions. So in India, conventions due to there follows a conventions in India that the speaker would be provided to the Lok Sabha of a majority party, whereas the deputy speaker post will be given to the oppositions. But this is a convention. This is practices which the Indian parliamentary system practice. But this has not been mentioned in constitution. So because of the line added in this, that it has been given under Indian constitution, so we can say that this is also incorrect. So B is also incorrect. So we can say that answer to this question is D, that is neither 1 nor 2 is a correct statement. Clear? Now if you see the explanations to the given questions, so let's see that the first past the post system is electoral method used in India for electing members of Lok Sabha and the lower house of parliament and most legislative assemblies. In this system, the candidate who receives the highest number of votes in a constituencies wins elections, even if they do not secure an absolute majority, that is more than 50% of the vote. And we have seen that the absolute majority in India is used only at one place, that is in proving the majority in the house, in the formations of government. The first past the post systems tend to favor larger political parties and can result in a candidate winning despite having less than the half of the total votes in multi-candidate race. It is a straightforward and widely used system but has been criticized for not always reflecting the proportional representations. Yes, this has also been one of the criticism. Why? Because if we have seen the example that C got a 40%, 40 number of votes out of the total 100. So this also means that 60 in the constituencies has opposed the C, that they do not want C as to be their representative. But he has been elected. Why? Because he got the highest number of votes. So this is also one of the ground of its criticisms. This is also, because of this, also known as a minority representations, because it representing get a vote of very less minorities vote, but due to the system of first past the post system, it has been having a highest number of votes, so it's been elected. Clear? Next, the second statement explanation says it is a convention that the speaker of the Lok Sabha is typically from majority party and the deputy speaker is from the oppositions, and this is not constitutional mandate. There is not, constitution does not mention anything about this. The constitution does not specify that the speaker must come from the majority party nor the deputy speaker come from the opposition. However, this convention has is followed to ensure the impartiality of speaker and to provide a voice to the for the opposition in the house. Clear? So this was the answer to this question is D, that is both of the statement are incorrect. Yeah. Let's move to the next question. Next question was asked in 2017. Let's see the question. So for elections to the Lok Sabha, a nomination paper can be filled by. So who can fill the nomination paper? The question is about this. Out of the options, if we see anyone residing in India, anyone can fill who is residing in India can fill an nomination paper for the Lok Sabha? No, it can only for the citizen of India. So only citizen of India can fill. So non-citizen cannot. Non-citizen have no right to contest elections. Filing the nomination, it means contesting an election. So non-citizen cannot contest election to become a member of Lok Sabha. So this is not our answer, right? So A is incorrect. Now, if you see the second, that a resident of a constituency from which the election is to be contested, so only the constituency, the person who is residents in the constituency, no, this is also incorrect. The resident of the constituency. So this resident may be citizen or non-citizen also. So maybe suppose any residency, if we talk about like Banaras, from where our honorable Prime Minister is elected as an MP, right? So any residents of Banaras, no, their residents may be citizen or non-citizen also. So on the basis of this also, this is incorrect. So B cannot be our questions answer, right? Now if we move to the third options, any citizen of India, yes, till here it is correct. Any citizen of India whose name appears in electoral roll of the constituencies, yes, this is an correct statement. So to contest an election, this is one of the conventions that, this is one of the provision that the person has to be registered. The person has to be registered himself with the election commission under electoral roll. That is, in simple language, in layman language अगर बात करें तो person has to be a voter ID. ठीक है, तो उसके पास voter ID होनी चाहिए, then he can be eligible to contest elections, right? So this is C. Now why D cannot be the answer? So any citizen of India? No, not any citizens. It also says it has to be a minimum of 25 years of age, then only a person can be eligible to contest the Lok Sabha. Any citizen means a person who is less than the 25 years, or a person who is unsounded mind, insolvent. So these are the certain restrictions which has imposed, but not by the constitutions, but by the rules and regulations. That is People's Representative Act impose restriction that unsound mind cannot contest election, insolvent person cannot contest election. So not any citizen of India, right? Plus this also, that any citizen who has not been registered as a voter ID, has no voter ID, they can also not contest the elections. So according to the given options, we have the C is a correct options to the questions, that any persons, any citizen whose name appears in electoral roll of constituencies. Clear? Let's see the explanations to this question. So if we see the explanations, so first, why the first is incorrect? Because a non-citizen cannot be a contesting candidate in the elections, as we know that this has been, as we have an republic, we are republic in nature. So all the officials, public offices open to citizens of India. So non-citizen cannot contest election to member of parliament, state, even the state legislative assembly also. Now according to Article 84, that talks about a qualification for membership of parliament. So it says that a person shall not be qualified to be chosen to fill a seat in parliament unless he is a citizen of India, right? So according to this also, this is incorrect, right? So this is also incorrect. Now B and C, and makes and subscribe before some persons authorized in that behalf by electoral commissions, behalf of election commissions, an oath or affirmation according to the form set out for the purpose in third schedule. In in case of seat in council of state not less than 30 years of age, and in case of seat in house of people not less than 25 years of age. So on this basis also we can say that the D is incorrect. So we are left with the only C. And C possess such other qualifications as may be prescribed in that behalf or under any law made by the parliament. So it means it is talking about a People's Representative Act. So parliament has come up with the other qualifications which requires to contest election of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Is it clear? Okay. So let's move to the next question. Next question was also asked in 2017. Now let's say talks about this. What the question says. The question says, with reference to the Parliament of India, consider the following statement. There is a two statement given. Let's see the first statement. A private member bill, a private member's bill is a bill presented by member of parliament who is not elected but only nominated by the President of India. Right. So to answer this question, we should know that the types of bill. So there are two types of bill. One is government member bill and one is private member bill. Right. Now, which type of bill is known as a government member bill? So bill introduced by the ministers or bill introduced by the government. Such bill will become to be known as a government member bill. Private member bill. Private member bill are those bill which has been introduced in the parliament by the member of parliament, by a member of parliament other than ministers. Other than ministers. So any member of parliament who is not a minister, who is not a ministry, who is not in a government, if they introduce any type of bill, that bill will be known as a private member bill. Now if we see the statement, analyze the statement on this fact, so you can see it says that a private member bill is presented by member of parliament, yes, who is not elected but only nominated, no. It does not restrict itself that the member has to be only nominated. Any member who is not a member of a minister, who is not a member under council of ministers, so that member becomes a private member, and if the private member introduce that bill, any bill, so that bill will come to be known as a private member bill. So on this basis we can say that the first statement is incorrect because of this, that who is not elected. So it has not related to the elected or nominated. It only says the bill becomes private member if the member is not a part of council of minister or is a minister. Whether it has been elected or non-elected, it has nothing to do with that. Clear? On the basis of this, we can say that the first is incorrect. Now, if you see the second statement, that recently a private member's bill has been passed in Parliament of India for the first time in its history. No, this is also incorrect because of this statement, that is first time in the history. The total number of bill which has been till the date is passed, that is 14 times. Bill has been passed since independence, right? Since independence. And the recent was passed in 1970. That is a bill related to Supreme Court enlargement of criminal appellate jurisdictions. Bill 1968. Clear? So this was the last bill that was passed by the Parliament. Clear? So on this basis we can say that the both of the given statement is incorrect. So answer to this question is D. Now if we see the explanation to this questions, so here I have made a table related to the differentiation between the government member bill and private member bill. So the government member bill is introduced in parliament by ministers, that is council of minister. It reflects the policies of the government, that is ruling party. It has a greater chance to be passed by parliament because of a majority in the house. The government has a majority in the house, so it has a greater chance. Its rejection, the government member bill rejection in the lower house of parliament, may lead to the resignation of whole cabinet. Why? Because it means that if the government member bill is rejected by the house, it means the government is losing its majority in the house. So this will leads to the fall of a government and resignation of a government. The government member bill introductions in the house requires 7 days notice, advance notice. So they have to give only a 7 days advance notice. So and the government member bill drafted by the concerned departments in consultation with the law department. So responsibility of drafting the bill is been upon the concerned ministry, right? And this can be introduced and discussed on any day. There is no restrictions that only this day or on that date it can be discussed. So it can be the government member bill can be discussed and introduced on any day of the week. Whereas if you see the private member bill, so it can be introduced by the any member of parliament other than the ministers, and that bill will be known as a private member bill, irrespective of whether the minister is elected or nominated, right? Private member bill reflect the mood of the political party on the public matter. Private member bill is less likely to be passed by the parliament. Why? Because of lack of majority. Private member bill rejection by the house has no implication on the parliamentary confidence of the ruling party because it has not been introduced by the government. Rather, it has been private member bill has been introduced by private members. Its introduction in the house requires an 1 month notice. So the person who a private member who wants to introduce any bill has to give a 1 month notice to the house. Its drafting is the responsibility of the member concerns, and there will be no help by the any staff agency like cabinet secretariat or cabinet minister or um, to help them to draft a bill. That has they have to done by their own selves. This can only be introduced and discussed only on Friday. So there is a date fixed that the Friday will be used on the date on which it has to be introduced and discussed. Clear? So the last time a private member bill was passed by both the house was in 1970. Clear? So this we can say that the answer to this question is D, that both the statement is incorrect.